When the Hallyu wave finally exploded in 2009 and got outside Korea, Japan was definitely one of the first targets to feel that wave. In fact, K-pop became very popular in Japan in just a short time as groups such as Girls' Generation, 2PM, Kara, and Big Bang became very popular in a short amount of time. And K-pop was largely dominant in Japan from 2009 to 2012. And I know when I visited Japan in 2010, 2011, and 2012 from Korea, it was just huge. But I just recently came back from Japan and the question begs, is K-pop still big in 2017? Well, let's find out. Now, during my trip to Japan, I actually went to several hotspots in Tokyo to see if K-pop's still popular there. Among the places I went to was Shibuya, Shinjuku, Ikebukuro, Ueno, and of course Japan's Koreatown, Shin-Okubo. So I wanted to get a variety of places and stores to go to in Tokyo to see if K-pop is still popular. And the results are pretty interesting. Now first, let's talk about the groups that are popular, and there are three big ones. The first being EXO, the second being BTS, and the third being Big Bang. And while Big Bang is taking a hiatus as some of their members are about to go to the military, EXO and Big Bang are huge. When I went to Shin-Okubo, there was so many products about BTS. There was the hip-hop fair, there was a lot of pictures of the BTS members, there were of course music CDs and posters. BTS is pretty much on EXO's level when it comes to popularity. And of course we can't talk about popular K-pop groups without talking about EXO. And EXO, guys, you really don't need any explanation or introduction to them. They're really big, they're big in Korea, they're big overseas, and they're big in Japan. And like BTS, EXO has a lot of posters of them, you have coffee mugs of them, you have socks of them, and you have music CDs of course. And what about Big Bang? Well, Big Bang's been popular in Japan since about, 2007, 2008. They had a foothold in Japan for several years already. And if you guys know Japanese fans are really loyal. They're not like the majority of K-pop fans here in Korea where they'll latch on to one group, then like a month later, they'll ditch that group and go to another group. These fans in Japan are loyal. If they like a group, they'll pretty much stick with that group for life. And this is none more evident in 2PM, which is probably more popular in Japan than in Korea. As for female groups, TWICE is the rising group. Yes, I know TWICE is the big hit in K-pop in 2016. And if you're into K-pop, you pretty much know who TWICE is, the new nation girl group in Korea. Yes, they're popular. Yes, I saw them the most out of all female groups here in Japan, but they're not like the phenomenon they are like in the States with Korean Americans and Asians or in Korea. Another group I saw a little bit of is Blackpink. But other than those two female groups, I didn't really see too many other groups. Girls' Generation isn't really popular here anymore as they used to be huge here in Japan just several years ago, 2009 to 2012 era. And what about Kara? Kara used to be the most popular K-pop group here in Japan. And yes, they disbanded, but they're still known as one of the most beloved K-pop groups here in Japan. So when I talked to the cashiers and some of the Japanese fans about what they think about EXO or BTS, who unfortunately all did not want to be on camera, they said that EXO was really popular for their stylish looks, their dance moves, their choreography, while BTS was really popular for their hip-hop swag, energetic songs, and of course, looks. So the question now begs, is K-pop still popular in Japan? And the answer is no, not really. In fact, it's been declining for the last several years. And K-pop's decline is further noted when I talk to my friends who live in Japan. They say that many Japanese don't listen to K-pop as they once did. But to understand this, we first have to look at the golden age of K-pop in Japan from 2009 to 2012. Now, during this golden age of K-pop in Japan, there were a handful of groups that were popular among Japanese fans, while most of them flamed out. These groups are the aforementioned Girls' Generation, Kara, Big Bang, 2PM, and DBSK, or in Japan, more known as Toshinki. So why did these groups become popular while the majority flamed out? Well, it's simple. Japanese fans want groups to come into the country and just get to know their country and learn it more. And with these groups, they actually spent considerable time in the country, visited it often, and learned the Japanese language and culture. And a special mention has to go to Kara, who actually did learn the Japanese culture and language to a high degree, as well as produce Japanese-only singles for the Japanese market. Talking to Japanese fans, as well as talking to my friends that live in Japan, Japanese fans don't like to be used. They don't like to have K-pop groups come in, sell a CD, or sell a lazy remake or rehash of their Korean CD and then leave. Yeah, they're like, oh, well, since Japan is the second largest music market in the world, we can pretty much just send our groups there and they'll make some profit and then we just leave. Japanese fans don't like that. And I feel a lot of K-pop companies either don't get that or just ignore that advice. But even though K-pop isn't really popular in Japan anymore, there are several small to mid-sized groups that do better in Japan than in Korea. And some of these groups are B1A4, 2PM, CN Blue, New West, The Boss, Supernova, among others. And yes, I know that B1A4, 2PM, and CN Blue are relatively popular in Korea still. They still have a lot of success in Japan. And with the other groups I mentioned, yes, they're a lot smaller than the aforementioned three, but they actually all found their niche in Japan and they're doing well. And these smaller groups are doing what I mentioned earlier. They're actually embracing the Japanese language. They're actually embracing the Japanese culture and Japan itself because they get the axiom that Japanese fans are very loyal if you just get them. Japanese fans don't want to be used. They don't want to be a one and done deal of just selling their product product to Japan and leaving and not coming back. And these smaller groups actually just have their home bases pretty much in Tokyo, in Japan. And that's really good for them. It's great because the Korean K-pop market is so saturated right now. And the market is not big enough to accommodate so many groups that get the limelight. And K-pop, as a lot of you guys know, the limelight only shines on a couple handful select groups. And the rest of them, well, they just pretty much get dusted off to the side. So if these groups find success in Japan and the Japanese accept them, then more power to them. So a lot of you guys might be asking, why did K-pop decline in Japan so suddenly from 2012 to now? And the big reasons are sadly all political. Like the first one being the Lion Court Rocks Island dispute, which in Japan it's called Takeshima and in Korea, Dokdo. And this island dispute is very heated. Now in the 7 years I've been living here in Korea, the Lion Court Rocks dispute has been one of the hottest issues between the two countries. It's been that taboo of a subject to bring up in either Japan or Korea. And the second issue has to deal with comfort women and how Korea wants Japan to apologize for taking, Korean women and, women around Asia to be comfort slaves during World War II. And again, it's another touchy issue. And the third one is the Yasukuni Shrine. And Japan allowed a lot of its war criminals during World War II that did a lot of heinous crimes to be buried in the shrine. And Koreans, as well as other Asian countries, take offense to this. In fact, there's a thing called Kenkan, which is anti-Korea and anti-Hallyu wave, that's been getting a lot of popularity in Japan in recent years, and pretty much just shuns the Korean wave. And it's because of these political issues that K-pop's taken a big hit in recent years in Japan. With all that being said, what can actually revive K-pop in Japan? Now, I really don't have a surefire answer to this, but I do have a couple solutions that could work. Now, the first one is K-pop needs another golden age, the way that we saw it from 2009 to 2012. That means quality artists, catchy songs, marketable idols. So that's the first one. And the second one is Japanese-Korean relations have to get better. And I really hope they do. I really hope that Japan and Korea can mend their differences. And I know it's gonna take a long time. And I know it's more complicated than just ponies and rainbows, everyone make up, but I hope they make up and K-pop can become popular again in Japan. And the third one is more K-pop groups need to learn Japanese culture as well as language to be successful. And again, it goes all the way back to Japanese fans don't want to be used. They actually want to embrace these K-pop stars, but first they want to know that, hey, are you here for the long run? Are you going to learn our country's language and culture, or are you just here for a quick buck? So I think if K-pop has these three elements, it could have a resurgence in Japan. But as much as I love K-pop and as much as I know that K-pop's popular around the world, it's unfortunately no Hollywood. It doesn't have the pull of the US music or the US music labels where it's always going to be popular. Like US music isn't just a trend. It will always be there forever. Hopefully K-pop makes a resurgence in Japan. That'd be cool. And if not, K-pop has other places to explore in the world. So what did you guys think about this video? What do you guys think about K-pop not being popular in Japan any longer? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you guys ever visited Japan or lived in Japan and experienced the K-pop culture in Japan itself, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below as well. And lastly, if you guys want to learn more about K-pop journalism and what it's like working here as foreign press here in Korea in the K-pop industry, please sign up for our email list to download our upcoming ebook below. And with that being said, I'm off to listen to some more K-pop and go to some more concerts. But I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.